Howdy y'all, welcome back to the Cowboy Slots channel. My name is Mark, and between Brantley and I, we bring you over 20 years of experience working in the casinos, working on slot machines, as well as talking to industry experts to get you the most up-to-date and accurate information possible about how all this stuff works, because we really feel like it's going to make you a better gambler in the end. Anyway, today's topic is all about random number generators, RNGs. You've probably heard about this before. We're going to break it down based on the different types of games that you might find in the casino. So the first one that we're going to tackle are the basic games. These are like your double diamonds, sizzling sevens, those types of games with no bonus round attached, just a simple 3-reel with the handle, those type of games. And then second, we're going to tackle those that have bonus rounds attached to them, okay? So this could be like your top dollar, your pinball, those types of games. And how does the RNG work with those? And then third, we're going to tackle ones with what I call enhanced bonus rounds. So these are like your dancing drums, lightning links. How do those work? Like, how does the pot close? How is it predetermined? How is it not predetermined? How does the RNG decide what you're about to get? And then fourth, we're going to tackle video versions of table games. So like video poker, video blackjack, video roulette. How does the RNG work with those? And finally, we're going to tackle the basic like bingo style, historic horse racing, VLT, all of those class 2 and other class machines that aren't really slot machines. How does the RNG work with those? So anyway, guys, let's strap in. I hope you learned something today. We're going to answer a lot of questions today. So guys, let's go ahead and get started. All right, guys, before we get started, if you do like education videos, especially when it comes to gambling, you've come to the right place. Cowboy Slots was formed with the idea of providing you with the best information possible. We want you to make wise decisions when you go into the casino, and that's why we do these types of videos. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, and we have some fun along the way too. We do some live play. We play some crazy games. So give us a thumbs up and a subscription if you like that stuff. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started on the topic today, which is all about random number generators, okay? So it is true in Class 3 gaming, okay? Real quick, what is Class 3 gaming? Those are your typical slot machines that you find in Las Vegas, Louisiana, on the East Coast, that kind of thing, okay? So if you've ever been to Las Vegas and played at the Strip, those are Class 3 machines, okay? We're going to talk about the other classes a little bit later, but right now we're going to focus on Class 3, and let's start with the basics, which is how does a Class 3 regular slot machine without any bonus or anything use a random number generator, okay? Think of a random number generator that is a cycle of numbers. We've mentioned this several times on this channel, but it's a cycle of numbers that just continuously runs. And a question that we get a lot is, well, is it only running when the machine has money in it or only when I have my player's card? No, it's running all the time. If the machine has power, like all these behind me, they are generating tons and tons and tons of random numbers a microsecond, faster than you can even imagine. And the faster these things get, the more randomness occurs. But anyway, what is actually going on here is that it is generating a random number so that it can randomly pick from a set of symbols to choose from. And these are weighted in a certain way. And we're not going to get into big detail here. We've done some really in-depth videos, and we'll link them towards the end of this video if you're interested in learning more. But essentially, what I want you to visualize a random number generator doing is like a claw. Like Brantley's mentioned this before too. Imagine the claw coming down and picking a ball out of a bucket, okay? That part is random, of the claw going down and picking a ball out of the bucket. But what isn't random is what the claw can pick from. And that is how they control the payback to you, the player, okay? So it is very much random in the sense that the machine doesn't know, the casino doesn't know, the manufacturer of the machine doesn't know what is going to happen next, okay? That part is completely random. But the other part, of course, is what it actually gets to pick from. So whenever you press the spin button or you pull the handle or whatever that initiates the actual bet or the wager on the machine, stops the random number generator, spits out a number, and then for each reel on the game, it's going to pull that claw down and pull a number out or pull a symbol out. Could be a 7, could be a cherry, could be a bonus symbol. It really depends on the game, but we're talking very basics here. And then that is what you in turn see. Future Mark here. Okay, that was kind of cringy, but anyway, different shirt, different day, different machine behind me. You know how it is. Anyway, we thought of something that we really wanted to include in this video to kind of give you an idea of why we talk about volatility so much. So we're talking about the example of the claw coming down and picking a ball out of a bowl. A low volatility game will have fewer amount of balls in the bowl than a high volatility game. So imagine the claw coming down in a low volatility game like Double Diamond. It has fewer choices to pick from, and so that's why you're more likely to get mixed bars, cherries, things like that along the way when you're playing a Double Diamond machine, because the claw has less to pick from, so increasing your odds of getting some kind of win. But on the flip side, if you think about a high volatility game, that bowl is a lot bigger, and there could be a lot more blanks, low paying symbols, fewer bonus symbols. And so because the claw has a lot more to pick from, that is increasing your risk and increasing the volatility on that machine. So we're hoping that maybe that correlation will help you to understand why it is that we think low volatility games are the better bet, especially when you're building up your bankroll, because it has less to pick from. There's less risk involved. Anyway, that is Future Mark reporting on that topic. We really wanted you to kind of see the difference there and understand that, that the big bowl with a lot of balls and the small bowl with a little bit of balls and how that relates to volatility. Anyway, let's get back to the video. So there's a random number generator, or there's a random number that is being pulled for every single reel in the game. So the more reels there are, the more randomness that's going to be occurring. All right, so the next type we're going to tackle are the slot machine games that have bonus rounds. And this is a pretty large category. So let's just break it down with a couple of examples. Let's start with Top Dollar, for example. We got Top Dollar behind me here. So Top Dollar, the way the bonus round works is that as soon as you enter into the bonus round, it's going to give you 4 offers. And you have to pick one by one whether you want to pass that offer and try again or accept the offer. Each one of those offers is a completely random event. And just like we talked about with the claw coming down and picking out of the bowl, instead of picking symbols, it's picking bonus offer amounts. And if you can imagine a giant bowl just filled with balls, okay? Imagine thousands and thousands of, say, ping pong balls or something. Imagine all of those in there. There's going to be a lot of 20s, 25s, 15 credit, 10 credit, the ugly 5 credit. It exists. There's going to be a lot of those in there, way more than those bigger amounts. Like there may only be one ball in that entire bucket or that bowl that is the 1,000 times 2 times 2. And that is what is actually going on. So every time you do a bonus round and every time you go to the next offer, that claw is coming down and pulling another value out. And the other interesting thing that you need to understand is that after it pulls the first ball out, it goes back into the bowl and shuffles again. Okay, it's continuously going through and shuffling and shaking those balls around to cause randomness. So the claw doesn't know, the machine doesn't know, the player doesn't know. There's no way that you can tell what's coming up next, okay? So that's how the Top Dollar bonus round works. Another one is pinball. Pinball's a little bit different. It is not predetermined, but the way it works is based on, okay, imagine the big bowl again that we were talking about. Imagine that it comes down and it pulls 100 on the first shot that you do. This, on pinball, it's a little bit different. Every single offer after that, there's a different set of balls inside of the bowl based on what came previously. So if you ended up getting 100 on the first one, well, then on the next one, there may be fewer hundreds for it to pick from. It's still possible, but there's fewer to pick from, and then it goes on from there. And that's how it ends up averaging around 84 or 85 credits in a bonus round, and that's how they can control that average. So that's what pinball does. Now let's go into some of the touchscreen games, and this is where it gets really interesting here. And one of them that we always end up using as an example, because it's a really good example, and that is dancing drums, okay? There's 2 different bonuses on dancing drums. The first is the progressive pick bonus, okay? So if the pot ends up closing, or the bowl, whatever, and you end up getting to pick from coins, and you have to match 3 in order to get the progressive. A lot of people ask, why is it always a mini? Why is it always the minor, okay? Isn't it supposed to be random? No, it's predetermined on that bonus. It's completely predetermined. As soon as the pot closes, it knows what it's going to give you. All of that is just an illusion. So that's why we always usually hurry up and just pick the coins, because we know there's no strategy there. So what you're going to get is what you're going to get. But it is heavily weighted to those smaller amounts. So there's going to be, if you imagine that there's 100 possibilities, 90 of them are going to be the mini, right? And maybe 5 of them will be the minor, 3 of them will be the major, and 1 of them or 2 of them will be the big grand jackpot. So that's what's going on there. It's still random, but the control, what it's actually picking from, is the part that's not random, and it's always heavily weighted to those lower amounts, okay? Try to envision this also like a deck of cards. Has anybody ever come up and shuffled a deck of cards and then you pick one and you would say, that was a random pick, right? And you would say, yeah, it was a random pick. I didn't see the cards. I didn't see him shuffle or anything. That was a random pick. Same thing's going on here, okay? It's random, the act of you pulling out a card, but the control is that there's 52 cards in a deck, and it has to be one of those 52 cards. So think of slot machine randomness as working exactly the same way there. All right, and the second bonus round that you can get on Dancing Drums is the free spins bonus, okay? Now this one gets a little interesting. So you will notice as soon as you get the free spins bonus that you're going to get 5 or 6 options to pick from. I can't really remember. We're going to put a graphic up on the screen just so you can see it. But basically what you are picking here is the volatility of the upcoming free games that are about to occur, okay? It has not been decided yet what the end result is. It does matter which one you pick. And so it's really up to you how risky you want to be during those bonus rounds. A lot of people like to be super risky and they go all the way to the right, which is the low amount of free games, maybe 3, but you get the most amount of lines. I think it's like 7,700 pay lines or something. It's crazy. But you only get 3 spins, okay? So it's very, very risky. A lot could happen in 3 spins, but most of the time it's dead, right? So that's the very volatile pick. But on the other side, you get 15 free games, but you get much less lines to hit from. So it's really up to you to kind of decide. I always typically go right in the middle. That's where I'm kind of comfortable with it. Unless I'm doing really good. If I'm, having a great night, then I'll push my luck and I'll go all the way to the right and do the 3 spins and see what happens. But none of that is predetermined. What you're basically, again, deciding is how risky you want those free games to be. So think about it before you go into it. Another one that people ask about is the mystery. Okay, that part is kind of random, and what it's doing is randomizing the number of free spins you get and then randomizing the number of lines that you get. And then other games that are similar to that, it's not lines, it's multiplier potential. So I think it was 88 Fortunes is a good example of that. So you can kind of decide, how risky you want to be during those bonus rounds. But again, during the free games, it is a random event every single free game. All right, you guys still in there? I hope I haven't put you to sleep yet. I know this is a lot of information, but we do get asked this question a lot. And really the most common thing that I get when people especially come up to me in public is, are slot machines really random? And I always have to answer with yes and no, because part of it is and part of it isn't, okay? If you remember back, we were talking about the claw coming down. That is the random aspect of a slot machine. But again, what it's picking from is the control aspect. So those are the things that aren't random. But the important thing for you to know is that every time you do a spin, the machine, you, the casino, nobody knows what's going to happen next. Nobody knows what's going to happen next. And so that's really important for you guys to understand. That's how they keep it fair, and that's how they can keep the classification of a slot machine, okay? All right, let's move on to another category of, they're not slot machines, but they're video table games, okay? So we have talking about video poker, video blackjack, video craps, all of those types of things. A lot of people ask us, what is going on there? Like, how can they set a payback percentage on those games and still be random? Okay, here's the rule. The rule is that video versions of table games must play out exactly like the table game counterpart, okay? And what I mean by that is that if a roulette wheel is involved, then the ball spinning around the reel has to be completely random. It cannot be weighted at all, okay? Regardless of payback percentage on the video roulette game, it cannot be weighted. That ball spinning around must be random, okay? The other thing is blackjack. The cards must be shuffled at random. There cannot be any weighted amounts inside of there either. So they can't say weight it towards aces for the dealer. A lot of people feel that way. Why is the dealer always getting blackjack on this? It's the act of shuffling the cards and dealing them to you is completely random. It must be, okay? Lastly, we're going to talk about video poker. Video poker 2, shuffling the cards is completely random and then you get dealt, okay? So that is the random aspect of it. But it is true, there is control mechanism for video versions of table games. And this is how it works. So if they set a payback percentage, let's take blackjack for example. If they set it on the highest payback percentage possible, which on a video blackjack might be around 98 or 99%, you basically get the exact same experience as you would sitting at a blackjack table. And what I mean by that is that you can do everything. You can double down, you can surrender, you can split. There's no rules about what's showing. You can do insurance, you can maybe do side bets, it really depends. But all of those things are available to you. Now, if they bring the payback percentage down, let's say they lower it from 99% to 85%, you're going to see some changes. You're going to see, you'll get dealt an 8, for example, and you'll want to double down on it. You're not going to be allowed to because the double down is not even present, okay? There was actually some video poker that we were, or not video poker, excuse me, the video blackjack that we were playing at Aria, and I couldn't double down at all. They didn't even have that option. And that suggests to me that the payback percentage is pretty low on video blackjack, okay? So that's how they control the payback percentage, because all of those activities in blackjack, by the way, are what get you closer and closer to beating the house, or getting very close to the house edge. To get the maximum potential out of blackjack, you need to split when you're supposed to, double down when you're supposed to, surrender when you're supposed to, all that kind of stuff. So they can prevent that from happening on the video versions, and that's what you should look out for. Now, another one, video roulette. I have seen this a lot, and Aria has some of these too. And I've seen them around. There are a lot of different places, but they will only play 32-1 straight up instead of the 35-1. Okay, so that's how they control the payback percentage also. The ball is still random going around that wheel, but again, the control is that they limit the amount that is being paid by the straight up win. So 35-1 to 32-1. So you need to look out for that also. So all I'm trying to say is that when you're playing these video versions of table games, it's very important that you go around and look at the different ones there, because we've seen some, I mentioned Aria, I've seen some that are 32-1, and then I go around to the other side of the casino and they're 35-1. You want to play the 35-1, okay? Because the payback percentage is set higher on that one. And then I'm not going to talk really long about video poker because we have a series on that, and we'll put a card up here. Brantley did a great interview with the Jackpot gents. They have been playing video poker for over 20 years. They got a lot of experience with it. But video poker is basically the same way. The way that they control the payback percentage is basically what you get paid on a full house, for example. It's a little bit more in depth than that, but the full house is kind of where you want to go look to find out which are set to the higher payback percentage. So I hope that helps answer some questions about how the randomness works on video versions of table games. You're playing the same game, you just may be limited, and that's what you need to look out for when you're going from machine to machine to figure out which is the best to play. All right, now let's shift gears a little bit to Class 2 gaming. These are the bingo style games. You've seen videos on the channel where we've been up at WinStar playing these, you know, the loud bells and the bingo patterns and all that kind of stuff. You are playing the game of bingo with everybody in the casino, and so there is not a random number generator installed in the machine. Now, there is a machine in the back that is playing the game of bingo and then divvying out the results to all the machines in the casino. And there is some randomness going on there because you not only is it calling the bingo numbers, but it's also giving you different bingo cards and different bingo eligible numbers all at the same time. And that's what's causing the randomness. And it's also typical in the HHR land, which is the historical horse racing. The way that they use, the way that they create randomness, since they can't have a random number generator on the machine itself, is that they are using historical horse racing data. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of races and thousands of horses inside of those races. And that's how they can that's how they can generate randomness. Okay, so that's what HHR machines are doing. That's what bingo machines are doing. They have to find a different way because of the classification of the machines to generate that randomness. And so they're just doing it a different way. But it's important that you understand that in those scenarios, you're playing against everybody else in the casino on the bingo style. And that is not you against the machine. And that's why we typically like to play Class 3 style games, because we feel that it's even a little bit more fair because you are playing against a random number generator in that machine only, instead of with a group of people playing bingo, for example. So, you know, it's kind of personal preference, but we typically try to lean towards the Class 3 for that very reason. All right, so let's try to summarize a little bit, and I'm going to bust a couple myths here too. So what you guys really need to understand, and I know it's very hard, and we will get comments about this, that's okay, People insist that slot machines are not random, that there is somebody influencing the outcome of future spins, whether it's the casino, the players club tracking system, the time of day, or anything like that. People are insistent that those things are being controlled by somebody else. But we assure you, especially in a Class 3 facility, that that is not going on, because by legal definition, a Class 3 slot machine cannot receive outside influence on its random number generator from anything else. Okay, so casinos don't have access to install their own program. Casinos don't have access to control when wins happen or anything like that. It's very important you understand that, because you're making decisions on when to play. And you should know that every time you press the spin button, it's a completely separate, independent event. That random number generator is firing off very quickly, and there's no way that you can predict what the future outcomes are, and neither can, like I said before, the casino or anybody else. So knowing that, you should feel a little bit at ease when you sit down and play a slot machine, because you're going to be focusing on the things that are really important, stuff that you actually have control over, which is what we talk about all the time on this channel. Like budget, when to walk away, finding those lower volatility games. Check out our library if you want to see all that stuff. But that's what we want you to focus on. And so we did want to answer the question today about how random number generators work. But ultimately, we want you to kind of erase it from your mind and understand that they are designed to be random so that nobody can manipulate them. Okay, casino, player, manufacturer, whatever. That is why they are designed that way, and that's why they are audited. And that's why they are protected from any outside influence, to ensure that randomness can stay intact all the time. So that is how slot machines work. So I hope you guys learned a little bit today. Again, let us know in the comments what you think about. What have you heard about random number generators? We've heard everything here, guys. We always hear everything here. But again, we are backing this stuff up by research that we've done, as well as working in the casino. And listen, we sat down and had a great interview, and we'll put this at the end of the video too, with Anthony Bearlocker over at IGT, who is basically the guy that created the math and the games behind Top Dollar, Pinball, Wheel of Fortune, a lot of IGT games, classics that you've probably played. And he sat down with us and told us exactly how all this stuff works. And this is where we get our information from. We don't just pull it out of thin air. It's not something that we're speculating. This is how it actually works. And we hope you guys listen to us so that you can pass that information on to other people. And that would make us feel very proud that you guys are doing the right thing. So anyway, from Brantley and I, we wish you the best of luck out there. We hope you learned something today. Don't forget, give us a thumbs up, and subscription would be nice if you love this kind of content. And we will see you on the next video. Stay safe, guys.
Thanks
Bye.
so much for watching. Check out these other videos, and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more slot tips. It's always free. Visit ropethejackpot.com for free guides and a whole lot more. Catch you on the next episode.